Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valegewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valegewelryworkshops.co.uk, or even phone them at 07789 794248. Hello everyone and welcome back to Creative Space Podcast, and I am your host truly, Rhys, and on today's episode it's none other than the man behind the voice of Porky Pig from the Looney Tunes and Marvin the Martian and so much more, and that man is Bob Bergen. He is not only a man of just one voice of Porky Pig, he has done many voices, and it includes Luke Skywalker from Robot Chicken, which I absolutely love in all these Star Wars Robot Chicken specials. He has also done many shows as well, including Hunchback of Notre Dame, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2. He's done a lot, and it was so funny because every time I was giving out all these questions for my research, thankfully, I am not the only one, but I get the mistake of there are so many credits that he has been given that he has not actually worked on, and it really surprised me. And he was such a lovely guy as well. What an absolute gentleman. I feel like a lot of voice actors are seen or underused. That's the word. Underused, overlooked, and that's another one. And he is just an absolute incredible person. So I'm just going to get right down to it. It's me and Bob Bergen on Creative Space Podcast. But yeah, the thing is though, I always say to people when it comes to doing a podcast episode is what dates and times can you do? And they go blah, 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 like that, and I go, right, okay, we'll do it on this time, and this time. And I mean, the latest I've ever done is I did one with Adrian Barbeau, and that was 12 midnight 12 midnight in my time, and it was like about to think now, 6. Yeah, it was like 3 o'clock or something like that, 3 or 4 o'clock over in your time in California. And I was just, thankfully, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I just had to keep the noise down though, because my family was sleeping, or even though my fiance was,
gotcha.
even though my fiance was awake, she was like, I'm still going to be awake when you're doing it. And I'm like, yeah, but my voice is not, it's not really quiet. It's very loud when I do the
Oh,
podcast.
and you're not going to be doing. You're not going to be like. So tell me what it was like when you did mod. You're not going to be doing a really quiet interview because it's going
No.
to, compared to all of your other podcasts, it's going to sound bizarre if you're not
Yeah,
just your usual vocal self.
exactly. And it sort of came to it. In all fairness, she was lovely. And the only issue was, and this is not slamming her because there was a logistical reason, but when we did it over Zoom, but I couldn't see her. The camera was turned off, and her
Oh,
representatives were saying,
oh,
yeah, her representatives were saying, there's a reason why. Is that okay? And I was like, I'm just happy to interview her. It does not matter to me at all. What does matter is like if you
yeah.
get a
I have a buddy. I have a buddy who has a celebrity podcast, and there are a handful of people who are like, I'll only do audio. I won't do video, and mostly uh, women, and mostly women because they're not going to bring in their hair and their makeup person for a podcast.
Mm,
So their visual is their image. So my buddy uh, John, he's like, yeah, whatever. I just want to get an interview with you, and I don't care if it's audio only. Even though I would say 98% of his are video. But yeah, you get look, you're asking someone to give their time, and you have to accommodate, and it's
mm.
fair.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, in all fairness, I mean, I wish, you know, it's like a part of me have always said if ever this podcast does get successful and brings a little bit of revenue in, I've always said I'm more than happy to go wherever the podcast guest is because I just love to travel
Right.
as well. So it never ever bothers me. And being from Wales as well, I mean, some of the locations anyway where like notable people, I mean like Tom Jones for example, a lot of people keep believing that because he was born just an hour up the road from where my town is. It's like, oh, you could do that there, and I'm like, yeah, but just because he's from Pontypridd, just because he's from the valleys in Wales, that doesn't mean he's going to be there. He's going to be,
Right.
in the States somewhere. And why would he want to sit down and be questioned by me, and but
Right. Right.
exactly. But I'm really glad you've taken the time because I've interviewed so many voice artists, especially Billy West. I've had Phil Lamar as well, and I was like, I need to get you on to talk about Porky Pig, Marvin the Martian, Tweedy. We want to talk about loads and loads of things in your career. But one thing I want to know is that when you were growing up, before the voice acting came around, it was said that you didn't get certain characters. You didn't get Speedy or Daffy Duck. Is that right? You didn't understand them or
What do you mean I
something.
didn't get? No,
Didn't
I've never
understand
said
it.
that.
No?
I've never
Where
said
am I
that.
getting that research
No,
from then?
not a clue. I was a fan of those characters since I was a little kid, and I not only got them, I was enamored by them. Sure, I got them.
Well, there we go then. Right. There we go. Out the window
Well, I
then.
mean, I mean, I've I've not been known to voice them a lot. I've done both of them on occasion, but no, I can't think of any cartoon characters as a kid. I mean, there are some. I was never much of a fan of the Roadrunner and Coyote. That humor just never. And same with Tom and Jerry. I was like,
Mm,
I don't get it. I don't understand this. This is not resonating with me. But Daffy Duck, Speedy Gonzales, Porky Pig, Bugs Bunny. Oh yeah, absolutely. Popeye,
yeah.
sure.
What was so intriguing for you then when growing up? But what was intriguing about those characters for you?
There were characters, and they were personalities, and they were funny, and they were relatable. The comedy was relatable. It was very. First of all, these cartoons were never made for children. They were made for
Mm,
adults, and the only reason they're associated with kids is because when television started, they needed programming. Well, they've got these cartoons, these theatrical cartoons that are just gathering dust. Let's put
mm,
those on for kids to watch. And lo and behold, they were very successful to the point
mm,
where they started doing original animated programming for kids. But I think because I was an old soul as a child, I was able to connect with the more sophisticated adult humor in
Mm,
those cartoons, and as well as Bullwinkle and other cartoons that were made specifically for adults,
yeah.
but because they were cartoons, they were broadcast during Saturday morning, Sunday morning for kids.
Mm. Was there any like particular sketch episode that stood out to you when you watched the Looney Tunes?
There's so many hundreds of shorts.
Mm,
Um, I can think of uh, not necessarily Looney Tunes. I will tell you the era of Looney Tunes that I most connected with, and that was in the mid '50s,
mm,
and primarily Chuck Jones. His each director at Warner's, Friz Freleng, Chuck Jones, Bob Clampett, Tex Avery, Robert McKimson, they all had their own take on the personalities of these characters, even though they were always the same characters. Each director had a very different style in comedy, in timing, even in character design, in the models. I like Chuck Jones the best. I liked his humor
yeah.
the best. But if I can remember a very specific Fleischer black and white Popeye cartoon. It was when Popeye was on Goon Island, and it was when Jack Mercer, who was the voice of Popeye, was at his best with the ad libs.
Mm,
And Popeye started getting a rounder personality and a more um, interesting cadence rather than just a gravelly voice. He became somebody. And I watched the evolution as a kid of Popeye going from a very stiff character to a very well-rounded character to yeah, the Fleischers are gone, Paramount's in, famous studios, and now they're just kind of making him feel to me a little bit more generic. But as a
mm,
fan, I was able to see that evolution.
mm. There's always one that stood out for me. I don't know why, because when I was watching it as a kid, there was always that one that was recorded on my VHS tape. And it was in a small sketch called Claws for Alarm with Porky Pig and Sylvester. And they go in, they're out in the middle of nowhere and they're staying in a hotel which is supposedly haunted. And Sylvester's like, oh, I don't like this.
Right.
And it's just the dialogue I love because it's just like Sylvester's fighting probably mice and he's got a shotgun and he's just shooting everything. And then all you hear is Porky Pig going, so tell me, Sylvester, is there any insanity in your family? And I just thought, this is brilliant.
Yeah, we did an homage to that for the Max Looney Tunes cartoons, which was just a joy to do.
Mm,
I think the exact line was something like, "Tell me, Sylvester, does insanity run in your family?"
yeah.
And it's just so dry and such a delicious line that kids aren't going to get, adults will.
Yeah. I pure loved it, and especially when they're using the gun as well. It's just how Sylvester just picks up a shotgun and he's just there, or a rifle, and he's just there shooting at random things. And then towards the end, the
Right.
Porky Pig is like, "Oh, we're gonna stay here for a bit," and Sylvester's like, "Nah, whack," and then just drive off. I saw even today, I'm 27 years old, and I'm just laughing at that because it's
Yeah.
just genius. And I was laughing at it when I was, 5 or 6 years old. I still think it's just genius and still stands the test of time. Which do you think, um, when it comes to, the classics of Looney Tunes and it back in the like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, do you think, because I know you said they were generic, but do you think there's still a bit of that magic that they still got back in, like coming from the 50s and 60s to now, or do you think that that magic's gone and they're bringing something else into the formula?
Oh, of course, good is good is good. This is why you can sit and watch a Marx Brothers movie or a Charlie Chaplin silent and still find entertainment value because good is good. Um, on the 25th of this month, a new network is going to be starting called MeTV Tunes, and MeTV is a retro uh, network. They show like My Three Sons and just old reruns. And they're going to be doing what I guess classic Boomerang Cartoon Network used to be,
Mm,
which is airing all of these Looney Tunes, Underdog, Bullwinkle, Popeye, Tom and Jerry, Flintstones reruns. the audience is going to be huge. The fans are going nuts on social media in anticipation for this. These are fans who saw the original. These are grandparents who are dying to show their grandkids what they found entertaining on Saturday morning or before. So the answer to your long-winded answer to your question is absolutely. This has lasting appeal. Otherwise, people wouldn't be excited about seeing this new network.
Where did the start of your voice acting come from then? Was it somewhere, did it start in education? Did it start of just like a job you got? Where did the voice acting originally start for you?
Well, it started as a fan of animation voiceover, but I didn't know there was a thing called animation voiceover. I just knew I was watching cartoons and had this knack for mimicking them and doing voices. So I didn't know at that time what I was doing was preparing for my future. I was just having fun, but that's what a kid who plays Little League does if they want to be a pro baseball player. They have to start somewhere. So for me, I started with the television. Saturday mornings, I would put my little tape recorder in front of the TV and I would record the audio and I would practice those voices. And I knew that I wanted to do that. I knew that there was a business. I didn't know it was called voiceover. I didn't even know it was acting. I just knew I wanted to do voices. And as I got older and kind of learned, oh, that's Mel Blanc. Oh, that's June Foray. I knew who these people were. I read credits. I was able to read. I got a good education. And when my dad moved the family to LA when I was 14, I just picked up the phone and started calling the studios. How do I do this? What do I do? There was an actors trade magazine called Dramalog, and today it's called Backstage. Backstage was its own magazine, and it purchased Dramalog. But these magazines, way before the internet, these magazines are where classes were advertised, theater auditions were advertised. So I just picked up at a local newsstand Dramalog and just started calling voiceover classes, and I just got lucky. There weren't that many back then. There were only about maybe half a dozen. Today there's dozens, and I'd say 90% of them are not so good. But I was a kid. I was 14, and my parents, their rule was, we will take you, because it was in the evenings, and there were no kids classes. These were adult classes, and my mom and dad were like, we'll take you, we'll pay for your classes, but you got to keep your grades up. So that was the rule. And then at 14 and a half, I got my first part-time job scooping ice cream. And from that point on, I paid for all of my classes. I paid for everything because I wanted my parents to know I'm serious about this. I really want to do this. I didn't want them to think that, I'm just doing this for fun.
And fun you did, because obviously you go on to do so many voices that are so recognizable and beloved even to this day and for generations. When did that moment come for you where someone said, right, you're going to do the voice of Porky Pig, or you're going to do the voice of many Looney Tune characters?
Well, that I was practicing doing Porky Pig since I was 5. And I've told the story a million times. I'm not going to bore your listeners with it, but I phoned Mel Blanc. I crashed a recording session. I taped the conversation when I called him, so it's on my website if people want to listen to it. And that's when I kind of realized, okay, he's still doing this. That was about 1978. He died in 1989. I got my first agent in 1982 and started auditioning and working. I was working as a full-time actor by 1987. And 2 years later, he passed away. And I happened to have a body of work, and I happened to have an agent with the clout who could get me into the auditions. Listen, from what I heard from the executives at Warner Brothers back then, they had never sat down collectively and said, what do we do when we lose Mel Blanc? And they didn't know what they were going to do, but they just held auditions. And I had dozens and dozens of callbacks. And I still have to audition for them. If there's something big that comes up, they still make all of us audition. That's just because nobody has a lifetime contract for any classic character. But so that's pretty much how I got my foot in the door doing stuff for Warner Brothers. But I wouldn't look, the odds were against me. I grew up in the Midwest. The odds that I would be in the town, trained, working with a top agent who could get me into those auditions were very much not just against me, but kind of a pipe dream if you think about it. But all the planets aligned. I got very lucky.
Yeah. What was it like to speak to Mel Blanc then? Especially, because he's the legendary voice actor that people know and but what was it like for you to speak to him?
It was like any kid who's calling their idol.
Mm.
But I never told him I wanted to do his characters because I thought that was a little rude.
Mm.
I asked him all kinds of business questions, and if you listen to the phone call, he's like, it's a really tough business. How old are you? I said 14. Well, it takes an awful long time, and that's when I changed the subject. Did you need an agent? Because I'm like, yeah, I don't care about. I never cared about obstacles, statistics. I just knew what I wanted to do. So the moment this is like, the thing kids don't like to hear from adults is reality. And I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, I don't care how hard it's going to be. I'm still going to do this. Do you need an agent? So he was nice. He was generous with his time. He'd just come off of working a full day recording something. So it was it was a highlight. It was amazing. Sort of like if a kid wants to be a brain surgeon and they contact the head of brain surgery at Cedar Sinai or UCLA. It's going to be a highlight of that kid's day to talk to that brain surgeon and say, tell me about that brain.
Let me pick that brain of yours then. And
Exactly. But
when um so when it comes to people asking you then about how do I become a voice actor? How do I do this voice? Or how do I do that, etc. What advice would you give? You've probably been asked this question so many times, but how would you respond to those people who look up to you?
yeah, I mean, I spend much of my day on social media answering this question. I've been teaching cartoon voiceover for close to 40 years. So the first thing I tell people is it's called voice acting for a reason. All characters have a voice, but not all voices have character. So the first thing you want to do is study acting, become a great actor, study improv. Then you study voiceover. Each genre of voiceover, cartoons, games, commercials, promo, narration, require its own training and its own demo and its own marketing.
Mm.
I'm going to kind of answer the animation question by talking about commercials and promos. So promos is the voice you hear promoting a TV show between TV shows. Coming up next, it's whatever. Commercials are commercials, radio and TV. If you're going to be pursuing commercials or promos today, then your demo, your training has to be relevant to today's commercial and promo landscape. The same with cartoons. Mainstream cartoons are SAG-AFTRA, they're union. So you got to be in the union and you got to have a top agent. So what I always tell people, first of all, watch every cartoon on TV. Know, and streaming too, and cable. Know everything. Cross-reference these cartoons on IMDb. Learn the names of the players, the producers, the writers, the actors. Cross-reference the actors' agents. You will see the exact same 5 to 8 talent agents representing everybody that works in animation voiceover. Atlas Talent, DPN, SBV, CESD, AVO, Vox, etc. Logic tells you you've got to be with one of those agents to work in animation voiceover. Go to those agents' websites and listen to the demos of the actors they represent. That's what they don't need. They don't need any of the voices that you hear already that they're representing, because those are the people that are actively competing and working in the business. Your characters have to be relevant. Your characters have to be original. How do your characters for PBS kids differ from Nick Jr. or Disney Jr.? How are your DC characters different from Marvel? How about your Adult Swim characters different from Fox Primetime? It's called show business for a reason. You need to know the ins and outs of the industry. Nobody needs somebody who can do multiple voices. They need people who are brilliant actors with brilliant, original, relevant characters.
Mm. And it's funny that you mentioned when it comes to improvisation. It's like I can think of so many people who've done voice work and voice acting, and some of them have come from comedy. Some of them come from, people who have said, I mean, Phil Lamar said it better. He came from improv classes, and Billy West said the exact same thing. And it's like, well, it's it's there right in front of you. It's the picture. You don't need, if there's so many voice actors, including yourself, who said you got to take improv classes in order to
Mhm.
do this because you got to think on your feet as well. And I've seen in your interviews as well that you said it so many times is that there was gonna, I'll use an example with Robin Williams who did the genie, but I've always thought he was brilliant at improv anyway, but it's like a dream that for directors and producers who are doing an animation film that I would have countless hours and files of voice actors doing loads of improvs and going, oh, this is amazing. It's a dream, and you need to do that. Um, and I was just wondering as well, when it came to down to improvising everything, did at times where you needed to seek permission from those producers and directors where you're going to go, right, can I just do this? Because I feel like this character could say this, not that.
So basic, yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Especially for Porky, because I ad lib all the time.
Mm.
Um, and Porky stutters as long as it takes me to think of the joke. So like if the line was this Sylvester, when did you get a dog? I might go, it's Sylvester. When did you get that cocker spaniel? So that's and usually I will read the line as written, and then I'll say, "Can I try one for me?" They never say no. They never say no. But you always, out of respect, ask. You're not in control of which take they print or they
Mm.
use, but at least they want you. You come to the table as an actor because you have something of value to bring them. So yeah, they want you to be creative. I studied improv for 3 years. What improv demands is that you listen and that you commit to your choices. Well, one of the problems with a lot of actors today is they're so in their head, they're so nervous, especially new actors, that they're not listening.
No.
They're not listening to the director, they're not listening to their fellow actors. Oftentimes today, more often than not, we work solo without a full cast.
Mm.
There's no one to listen to. But there's a line there that you have to read. That's your scene partner's line. Acting is reacting. So you have to react in a very spontaneous way. As far as the audience is concerned, these characters have never said these words. As far as the actor is concerned, you might have been practicing, rehearsing. This might be take 3 or 4. So the improv skills keep it fresh. The
Mm.
improv skills bring, look, an actor's job is to make the writer have a feeling that they never knew their words could be this good.
Mm.
Your job is to bring the writer's words to life. The script is a skeleton. Your job is to give it a body. And you respect the writer's words. You don't try to improve on them, but you offer your creative input. And whether they use it or not is completely up to them. But boy, do they want you to bring something to the table creatively.
Mm. It's like I remember I did because when I did in school, obviously drama, performing arts, etc. And one of the things that my teacher, was like a high school teacher, would always teach us is improv. It says the
Right.
improv will help you get through so many productions. Obviously, learn the text and everything, but improvising can save a production. And it always implanted in my head because when I was 15 years old, I did like a junior production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I played Grandpa Joe. And there was a scene just as Veruca Salt goes down the chute into the garbage chute, and then the scene then cuts into Mike TV's bit, and we went, and the stage was that you leave the stage, but then you got to go through the change rooms, which was a long uh, hall, and then you have to come around and then go back onto the stage. And as we did, there was no set, no nothing to suggest that it was like a TV or a laser room or whatever. And there was about 6 of us So my friend Jack went on first playing Willy Wonka. Then I followed suit with the kid playing Charlie, who happened to be about 8 or 9 years old, and there was like kid to play Tegan. My friend was playing my TV, and Leona playing my mother, her mother. And my friend Jack just froze, immediately froze, and he was like, "I don't know what I'm doing here." And this is junior protection. We're all teenagers or kids, and for some reason, I bet you've had this yourself, where like something bad goes, something wrong happens, and those like a minute or 2 minutes feels like hours because it's like, oh my God, time's slowing down. So I looked at Jack and I'm pretending to be Grandpa Joe, and I'm looking at him and I look at everyone else. So I just went, in my head, I went, oh, fuck it. And I just went, oh, so Mr. Wonka, where did you say that shoots went again? Where did it go? And he just went, oh, it went that way. It went this way. And I'm like, right, let's keep it going. Let's just keep it going. It'll be all right. And, and then I said to him, oh, Mr. Wonka, what's that over there? And I'm basically pointing at, get off the stage. We'll try and do it again. But he wasn't clocking on. And
Right.
the funniest bit was, our tech guy who was doing the lighting kept flicking the lights on and off, and it nearly put him off again. And I just turned to him and went, "You forgot to pay the gas bill, didn't you?" And everyone just blew up laughing. And my friend Jack was holding on to my hand, going, "Rhys, please don't. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh." And then bless these 6-year-old little Oompa Loompas, three of them just pushing slowly this laser beam on, and in unison just all went like that, just looking at them, and everyone just started giving a round of applause. But again, it was just that learning lesson, and I never forget it. God bless improv.
That's what live theater is all about. It happens all the time where a prop is mixing an actor. I did a play years ago where I was doing a scene with another actress, and in one sentence she jumped to act 2 during act 1.
Oh God.
Literally in one sentence she just skipped 40 pages of the play. And I looked at her because 40 pages later we were in that same spot on the stage having a conversation, but it was 40 pages later. And I looked at her and I said something like, her character's name was Mrs. Pampanelli. Oh, Mrs. Pampanelli, I think you're just having a senior moment. Why don't we sit down and talk about this? And I was able to get us back to where we were supposed to be. And then in act 2, when we're in that scene again, I looked at her and I said, are we having a deja vu? So, and that got the audience laughing because they all realized I didn't care. But again, improv skills, that's where you make it work for you.
Just mentioned Robin Williams. I take it you must have seen that scene in Mrs. Doubtfire when he said, in the words of Porky Pig, piss off, Lou." Not the best
Yeah, I
Porky
was
Pig
thrilled he
impression.
sucked. I know, I was thrilled he sucked at that. Also, I remember I saw that with a whole bunch of friends. And at the very beginning, when he's doing, the voiceover for the cartoon, and he's doing every character, and he's doing everything in one take, and he's doing it to the camera. Everyone's looking at me, and I'm like, that's not how it's done, people. They just did that for this movie. That is not only is it not how it's done, not only is it not done in San Francisco, but if you lose one gig as a voice actor, you're not unemployed. That's just one gig you're not doing anymore. So there was a lot of dramatic license for that, but it was a delightful movie, and it was it was fun to watch.
Yeah. Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789942448. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Veil Jewelry Workshops. Veil Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789794248. We're going to go on to Space Jam now, and where it all started off was the Nike commercials. And I heard this story, you told it before, but I'd love for you, if you're up for it, to say it again, tell about it again, which was apparently that Michael Jordan, obviously Nike, Michael Jordan, there was a commercial, and apparently before you were going to start doing the projects of the commercials, you caught laryngitis, if I'm right in saying so. Would you?
So what happened was, yeah, I got I again, I auditioned for it. I booked the first Hair Jordan. It was a Super Bowl ad, and between getting the job and the job, I had a cold. I had laryngitis, and I got to the session and I was talking like this, and the ad agency interpreted that as, well, he can't do it anymore. So they held auditions again. And I said to my agent, so what do we do? And she goes, you're going to audition again. I said, yeah, but don't they already think I suck? And she said, no, we're going to have you audition under a fake name, under an assumed name, and see what happens. And I got it. So, you know, if Joe Schmo was auditioning for that, I walked into the voiceover session. And that's when I said, guys, I just auditioned under a fake name. But, you know, and those are the risks that we have to take as actors, as business people. Sometimes you just got to take a risk like that. I thank God for that very astute creative agent for thinking of that. So yeah, that's how I ended up keeping that part.
And when it came to Space Jam, you had to audition again, but in front of Ivan Reitman, of all people, as well. And from what I gathered, he sounded very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say tough, but it was like, I remember you said in an interview, you said, oh, you've played Porky, you've done the voice of Porky Pig so many times, and then he done like a sharp comment back. I can't remember what it was, but he's like something to do with people waiting outside. Could you just elaborate if you can?
Well, what happened was the casting director, I don't remember his name, just before I was walking in, and there were dozens of actors reading for all these characters in the lobby of this studio. The casting director said, how many times have you played Porky Pig? I said, a lot. And he goes, well, I want Ivan to know you've played this character, but can you give me numbers? I said, no, I can't give you numbers because there's games, there's commercials, there's episodes of cartoons. I mean, I said, dozens of times? And he goes, okay, when you walk in, say, tell Ivan that you've played this character dozens of times. And when I walked in, I said, Mr. Ivan, I've been asked to tell you I played this character dozens of times. And without looking up at me, he was reading some piece of paper. He very curtly, if that's a word, curtly said, well, since there's a lobby full of actors trying to take the job away from you, that's kind of irrelevant information, isn't it? And I was like, okay, this is going to go great. And, you know, one of the things you have to do as an actor is to not let things bother you. Mm-hmm. You can't take things personally. So I didn't. I just went in and I auditioned. And I'll be really honest. I mean, the man's a genius. His work in in film, be it producing or directing, is classic stuff. I did not like working with him as an actor. He never called any of us by name. Yeah, I was Porky. Where's Daffy? I mean, he called us by our character name. He was not warm and fuzzy. He didn't know these characters as well as we did. There were technical things that he wasn't privy to. For instance, Tweedy, Speedy Gonzalez, Sylvester Jr. There are some of these characters that are sped up electronically. And we were doing all these scenes where we were all talking in unison, like, hey, team, let's go play basketball. Yay. And I was doing Tweedy. And I said, hey, Ivan, just out of curiosity, how are you going to isolate our voices to speed up the characters that need to be sped up when we're all speaking on top of each other? And he points to the engineer in the booth and he goes, oh, they know how to do that. And the engineer pushes the talkback button and says, no, we don't. And we had to do a lot of scenes over again. And Billy West says to me, you schmuck, you should have waited till we shot this for another 6 months. We'd have 6 months worth to redo. Because, if you have to redo it, they have to pay for it. So, I mean, Billy was joking, but, it's not really an actor's job to say stuff like that, to give that kind of advice to a director. I just had too much integrity for the characters. I didn't want an odd moment in the film because a technical aspect of how the characters are created, are produced, are recorded was missing. So I spoke up.
Mm. And what happened at the premiere? Did you was you ever invited to the premiere?
Originally, no. Originally, none of the voice actors were invited. And when my agent called up to find out, why can't I get my client in? He played Porky, Tweedy, Marvin the Martian. And whoever she talked to at Warner Brothers said, well, the premiere is only for talent. And my agent says, well, what do you think the voices in the film were?
I was just going to say, for
then,
talent.
I know. But you know what? Unless you're a celebrity doing animation, you're not given the same PR or even respect that a Tom Hanks or a Tim Allen for Toy Story might get. And, there's a part of me that gets that because there's a part of me that totally understands celebrity box office draw. I'm not going to be celebrity box office draw. So as much as I would love to get the same, I don't know, celebrity respect, I get it. But eventually they invited Billy and Dee. Dee Baker was Daffy. Dee was Bugs. And Dee's wife, Michelle, was nice enough to let me be his date, his plus one. And the premiere was at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. I'd never been to a premiere in my life. And as we're walking down the red carpet, we had our little, tickets to get in. They looked at our tickets and they said, you guys are in the overflow theater down the street. So we went down the street and we didn't sit in the theater with all the celebrities and the producers and the studio executives. We sat with accountants and secretaries and anybody from the studio who were nice enough. They were nice enough to give tickets to, but it was just a little small, almost screening room sized theater down the street. And but I did get to go. And I got to go to the after party. So yeah, there's a lot of people who would be really pissed off at that. Again, I get it. I understand where the suits, the guys that run the studios, where they're thinking, is this unknown face going to be on Entertainment Tonight, or is Tom Cruise, who wasn't in the movie whatsoever, but he was in town and he could get him to attend the premiere. So I get the business aspect of show business.
Did you have any interactions with Michael Jordan?
Nope. Never met him once. Saw a bald head walking in the distance. I was like, ooh, that's Michael Jordan. And I went running up to try to meet him, and his guards wouldn't let me talk to him. And I said, look, I'm Porky Pig in the movie. There's Marvin the Martian in the movie. There's Tweedy in the movie. And the big giant bodyguard said, I don't care if you're Mickey Mouse. You're not meeting Michael. Okay. So I didn't meet Michael.
Fuck's sake. Why? I mean, why? Come on. It's just a shake. You shake at the
You
bloody
know,
hands.
I know, I know, I know, I know. But it was an arrangement he probably had with his publicity people that he
Mm,
didn't want to be bombarded.
mm. I suppose, I mean, I do get it, but then sometimes I don't get it as well. I mean, but at the end of the day, I'm not there in the industry yet or whatever, so I'm not going to know until I go, I see why, but I know you do other voices as well, moving on from Porky Pig, but just to name a few projects that you've done. There's so many, and I would say like The Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Dunstan Checks In. That is my childhood
Yeah.
film, man.
And I got to correct you, though. I never did The Lion King.
You never did The Lion King? This is gonna. I'm gonna throw this. Here we go. Throw it away
By the
again.
way, if you go to IMDb is so full of mistakes.
Yeah.
IMDb lists things I never even auditioned for, and IMDb is missing a good 20-30% of my overall career. But I did do Dunstan Checks In. That was true.
Yeah.
And I did do, what was the other one? Hunchback of Notre Dame. I did do that.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can get this right now with any. All right. So, did you do Hercules?
Yes.
Yes. Thank God, we're on the right track. A Bug's Life.
Yes.
Mulan.
What was that?
Mulan.
No.
No, they're
I don't think
lying.
so. No. No, I don't think so.
The Prince of Egypt.
I don't think so. Did I? I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Um, The Iron Giant.
Yes.
Toy Story 2.
Yes.
Monsters Inc.
Yes. You're going
I
good.
got it right here. A kid flew right over me and blasted his car with a laser beam. Was that one of the lines did you say?
I don't know.
That
I have no idea.
was right on the
By
spot
the way,
then.
I also have to tell you, I haven't watched 90+% of what I've worked on.
Yeah,
And what you're doing right now, like throwing out a line from a movie,
yeah.
um, you must understand if you work one day on a film or even
Mm,
5 days on a film, that's 5 days out of your lifetime. Um, and you record a movie out of order. So even if you
mm.
see the movie, you have no idea where you're going to fit in.
Yeah,
And they never give you the full script. They only give you the scenes that you're working on. So I liken it to if you're an architect or a builder and you build a house, you might remember that entire house, but you're not going to remember every window. You're not going to remember every shingle on the roof. You're not going to remember every doorknob. So yeah, I'm not going to necessarily remember everything I did on every
mm.
film.
So going back to Dunstan Checks In, was you doing like the voices for Dunstan? The
Hmm?
What monkey was he? Was he the what monkey was he?
He was an orangutan.
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 Um,
But and I shared him with Frank Welker. We both did different scenes of Dunstan. Mine were a little bit more cartoony, and his were a little bit more realistic.
hmm. Another project that you've done is Robot Chicken, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mention the Star Wars ones because you did the voice of Luke Skywalker. Um,
Yeah.
did you do the I don't know if you're going to remember the one where it's Emperor Palpatine and Luke Skywalker, and they're doing a your mama fight.
Your mama's so fat, Jabba the Hutt said, "Damn." Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
I fucking love that one. It's just fantastic, and I love it when you can get something like Star Wars and just ride off and just take the piss out of it and just make it over the top. What was it like to do Robot Chicken and especially the Star Wars special one?
Well, I give all the credit to Seth Green. Seth Green, who's the writer, producer, director of the show. He is a huge Star Wars fan. Um, he was the one who talked George Lucas or convinced George Lucas to mock this amazing franchise he created. And he had to get George Lucas's okay to do it. It was fun. We did three of them. Uh, After the first one, I get this email from Seth's production company that George Lucas wants to throw a party at Skywalker Ranch to premiere it. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. So, we all flew up to Northern California. I think it was Marin County, I think. And we got a tour of Skywalker Ranch. I got to meet him. We screened it. He gave us all lightsabers as parting gifts. It was really, really cool. It was surreal. And then the next one we did, he threw another party. I'm like, great. And then we did the third one. He threw another party. I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'll do that again. But, it wasn't that blasé, but it was kind of like, oh, yes, Skywalker, know it well, know where the gift shop is. His company has a gift shop. And so I would always buy, mugs and merch and stuff. It was great. I've done a lot of Robot Chickens. Seth has been very good to me. I think each season, I think I started working on the show on season 2. And I think each year he would bring me in for something. So just such great writing, brilliant comedy. The jokes act themselves. And Seth Green is quite possibly one of, if not the best voice director I've ever worked with.
How does he approach? How does he approach voice acting when it comes to directing you or any other voice actor? How does he stand out from all the rest?
Because he's an actor and he speaks actor. I think the best voice directors are actors, have been actors. And by the way, Charlie Adler, Andrea Romano, Maria Estrada, Mary Elizabeth McClellan. I mean, we're talking about people who are brilliant voice directors who are also actors. So an actor can speak actor. Seth has been acting since he was a fetus. So he knows how to speak actor. So he knows how to give you an adjective. He knows how to give you a suggestion. He knows how to give you a glance or a look. He knows the character's a little bit more like this. Okay, got it. I'm with you. I mean, when we did the Yo Mama bit, and I'm very, very bad at that sort of like delivery because he wanted a little bit ghetto. He said, no, do this with your hands and let's get a little bit of this going on. And I said, okay. And he stood next to me and I was mimicking his body language just to get the rhythm and the attitude. Yeah, he didn't just say, I need a little bit more attitude. He just physically got there with me and did it with me. And that's a good director. That's a great director. And I worked with bad directors. I did an anime series years ago where the direction would be like, do it again, Bob, make it better. And I'm like, what was wrong with it the first time? It just wasn't working. Make it better. Thank you. And then you just try different things. But Seth connects. Colette Sunderman connects. Andrea Romano connects. These are voice directors who they speak actor very, very well. And a good voice director has to translate producer to actor. Because oftentimes the producer's behind the voice director saying, I want the character this time instead of this, I want this, and it's not, I'm not, and then the voice director will say, a little quicker, Bob. This person behind the voice director, the producer, they don't even know how to say what they want, but the director has to translate what they think the producer is trying to get from the actor, and then translate that to actor. It's a craft. It's a talent.
When you met George Lucas, what was your first impressions of meeting him? Because he's a giant in the industry, especially for someone who creates a world, a monstrous world, and like Star Wars. What was it like?
I will be the first to tell you I'm not a huge Star Wars fanatic. I've seen every film, but I've not memorized every film. So every time I work on a Star Wars project, I ask a lot of questions. Like, who's this droid and what's he doing and what planet are they from? I remember he was just standing there holding, I think, like a Coke can. It was a very casual conversation. He seems shy. He seemed shy to me. I was actually introduced by Seth. I got a picture somewhere with the three of us. And he was very nice, very unassuming. I mean, the guy is quite possibly one of, if not the most successful producer directors ever. And he doesn't come across as, don't you know who I am? I'm George Lucas. And he doesn't come across with any airs. He comes across as almost like an everyman, everyday sort of casual dude. And that was kind of cool. That was really, really neat that he
Mm.
was just very not full of himself and kind of just available. Just one of the guys.
Yeah, yeah. I think I get that from him as well, because when you look at pictures of him, he's always seems to be wearing like a checkered shirt and some jeans and some running trainers, and he would just walk down the street and you think that's a guy worth $7.5 billion.
Yeah,
But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like, well, yeah, but this is George Lucas who just thinks, oh, okay, no problem.
yeah,
I just do what
yeah,
I do.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. And it's so funny because um, I encounter, and I have encountered over my 40 plus years in this business, major celebrities, beginners, and everything in between. And I have found that the most successful people, uh, John Lasseter was this way. Um, Lily Tomlin is this way. The most successful are the most approachable and humble. And it's the new people who are trying to get to that point who come across as arrogant and cocky. And arrogant and cocky is going to bite you in the butt every time because nobody wants to work with, now everybody wants to work with confident, but nobody wants to work with arrogant and cocky. And it is so rare that I have worked with somebody of the stature of a George Lucas who's arrogant and cocky. They're just not. They're creative and they want other creatives and they want everybody to be their best.
Mm. Going on to there's another credit that was on your list, and it said Hell's Kitchen. And
Yeah.
how? Do tell. Gordon Ramsay.
How did I get that?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I was a celebrity eater. Okay.
Celebrity?
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch Hell's Kitchen, when they do the competition between the red and the blue team, they bring in celebrities to eat for one of the teams. And the casting director was a friend of mine. And she just called me up and she said, we would love to have the voice of Porky Pig in the dining room eating for one of the teams. Are you interested? I said, yeah. Well, what do I have to do? How does it work? And I've got lots of dietary restrictions. Um, and she said, all you got to do is eat. And when the camera's on you, they might, the director might have something, you have a little prompter in here that might say, can you take a bite and answer like Porky Pig? And they also want you to be really, really honest. So what's interesting about Hell's Kitchen is if your team gets kicked off before the main entree or before dessert, you're done eating. I mean, they don't serve you anymore. Our team did get kicked off first, and they got kicked off before dessert. But I don't eat sugar, so that was great. But I also don't eat dairy, and I eat gluten free. They make it special for the celebrities, even though they don't tell you on camera. You're supposed to be eating the entrees that they're making for everybody, but theirs is to order, which was really first time I ever had steak tartare was on Hell's Kitchen because it always kind of made me go, it was raw beef, but it was delicious, and I've eaten a lot since then. So our team got kicked off. What they did allow us to do was stay around and keep drinking because it was an open bar. And we made friends with the fishmongers who supplied all the seafood for the show. They were sitting right next to us. So we just kind of sat with them and they had more food. So we just kind of ate off of their plates and kept drinking. I had a lot of tequila. It was great. I had the best time. And Gordon Ramsay was the nicest guy on the planet. He came
Mm.
and introduced himself to all of us. And Curtis Stone, another celebrity chef, was part of the celebrity eaters. So beforehand, we're all in a green room, and everybody was as nice as they could possibly be. Gordon Ramsay comes in. He's a pussycat of a sweet guy. And then after that was all over, I wanted to do a big birthday dinner for somebody. So I contacted Curtis Stone's people and yeah, come on in. He had a restaurant called, I don't know if it was Maud. I forget which one we went to. But anyway, we got treated to this. I didn't want him to treat me, but I just wanted him to get me in because it was a very popular restaurant. It was like a 20-course dinner, and I was like, I'm not going to be. I'm going to have to mortgage my house to pay for this. And he comped us. He was terrific. Bottom line is, it was a great experience doing it. It was a fun experience, and I did it almost 2 years before it aired, because I did it right before COVID, and they had to, because they had to stop production due to COVID. They wanted to wait to bank a few seasons and then go back and air them, because they needed original programming during the shutdown, during the lockdown, and ours happened to have been in the can. It was finished, so there you go.
Last question for you now, Bob, and I really appreciate you for taking the time to speak to me about your career, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much.
Sure.
One question I always ask people every time they come on my show is, how do you look back on your career?
With gratitude. Man, I've done so many things. I don't take anything for granted. I think people have to understand that, well, I can only speak for myself, but any successful person in this business, you work your ass off to get to where you're at, and you work your ass harder to stay where you're at. So I work as hard today to keep doing what I'm doing as I did trying to get in. But I've been so fortunate, nothing but gratitude. Every actor, every artist has ups and downs. You will rarely, if ever, see me complaining about anything on social media, because I got nothing to complain about. Even if I'm having a lousy whatever time, I'm not going to share that, because why play the victim? I was very, very fortunate to have been taught and mentored and coached by the best people in this business. And Don LaFontaine, who was if people don't know that name, Google that name. He was a big promo trailer guy. The bits and pieces of advice he gave me, I still use today, and I tell my own students, always carry yourself as a successful actor and never break character, never play the victim. Always lead with gratitude, and be willing to work harder than everybody else. And there are no coincidences. All this takes is the marriage of talent and hard work. And don't listen to anybody on social media that says that you don't need to spend a lot of money, you don't need to invest a lot of money, you don't need to work that hard. Yes, you do. If you want longevity in this business, you've got to go the distance. But you don't have to do it either. You can do it as a hobby, you can do fan dubs, you can just do whatever you want. But if you really want to work at the level I've been fortunate to have worked on or in, then yeah, you got to work hard. It's all about hard work.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalised keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewellery, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Veil Jewelry Workshops. Veil Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.